They're not just getting a DJ or just getting a designer. No, they're getting someone with expertise. They're getting someone who has put the hours in. And so that's what you need to keep in your mind when you go in with your audacious fee. The creative life is not easy. Not easy. More often than not, we're thinking, why am I doing this? Let me just allow this whole thing. You just want to give up. But you can't do that. You've got something special and the world needs to see it. And so that is what these episodes are for. Let's talk money. Please, 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 my creatives, do not think just because you enjoy what you do, just because it's fun, that it's any less worthy of being rewarded for financially. Reworded, you deserve to get paid for it. Who said you're supposed to hate your job? You've done so well to study your craft and get to a point where you're paid for what you love doing. And you should be paid correctly. You shouldn't have to apologize for that. Everyone would love to get paid for what they enjoy. You're there. So don't do yourself a disservice by accepting less and thinking that you shouldn't ask for what it is that you want. Oh my goodness, this one is for my artists, my singer, songwriters, my artists. Artists should only care about the art. It's not about the money. It's not about the money. Listen, I will love my art just the same if you pay me for it. I'll love it more, actually. Don't let this narrative continue. Don't let this propaganda carry on that artists, that creatives, that musicians shouldn't care about the money. You should just be happy to do what you're doing. It's about the art. It's not about the money. It's about the money. It's about the money as well. You shouldn't struggle just because you're an artist. The whole struggling artist, archetype, and that's just what it is. That is not what it needs to be. No, you deserve to get paid properly. So don't let them get you with that. Accepting well below what you deserve, it is not going to serve you long term. If you quote less than what you actually want, if you say your fee is this and actually it should be that, the client wants to pay less. If you accept less money now, you're not going to get more money from that same client in future. I have been sold that dream more than once. Trying to negotiate up is you don't want to be in that position. Is not the one at all. You need audacity to go in and ask for the fee that you want and even sprinkle a little seasoning on there so that it's higher than what you actually want. And then you're laughing. You feel so much better when you're paid properly. Oh yes, all of the zeros are there. Lovely. You do have to weigh it. And being 100, you can't go in high with absolutely everybody. Their budgets will not always stretch. But you do need to ask for what you want. Now the whole quoting what you want plus some seasoning, that is for people who've been doing this for a minute. You've put your thousands of hours in and you deserve to be paid for the time you've put into getting great at your craft. The education, the experience, all of that is what the client is paying for. They're not just getting a DJ or just getting a designer. They're getting someone with expertise. They're getting someone who has put the hours in. And so that's what you need to keep in your mind when you go in with your audacious fee. When I say audacious, I mean the fee that you really want. And from a simple maths perspective, I read this in a book called, I think it's called We Should All Be Millionaires. And she gave this example. Let's say you're a designer, whatever your skill set is. Let's say when you first started out, it would take you 10 hours to complete a particular project. And you charge £50 an hour. So for that project, you make £500. This is at the beginning of your career. Now, several years later, you can do that same job in 2 hours You're much more efficient. You're super skilled. You've just got it. If you're still charging £50 an hour, now you're only making £100. You can't be losing money. That don't make no sense. And what they're paying for is the years and the time that you've spent refining your skills and getting better and better at what it is that you do. So you need to charge accordingly. If you're a DJ, when you first started out, you might have charged, I don't know, £100 for a set, for like a 3-hour set. Years down the line, you've played countless sets. You've downloaded thousands and thousands of songs. You know how to read a crowd effectively. You need to charge correctly. Have the audacity to ask for the fee that you deserve. Now, what is stopping you from asking for what you want? I have the answer. That was a rhetorical question. It's the story you're telling yourself. You think, they're going to think I'm really greedy for asking for that amount. Or they might not actually have the budget. Let me go in really low and then I know that they'll book me. Or they'll think that I think I'm some kind of diva superstar. I don't want them to think that about me. Let me only ask for a little bit. Do you know any of that for sure? No, because you can't read their mind. You don't know what their budget is, unless you ask. And you don't know what they might think about you. These are all stories that you're telling yourself. You don't know if any of it's true, so put it to the side and don't let it stop you asking for what you want. I would just like to pause here and give a little disclaimer. This is not financial advice, number one. And number two, there are so many good books out there about negotiating. One is Never Split the Difference, I believe it's called. But there are so many business leaders who talk in podcasts. There are courses you can take. So I suggest all of those things for any of your negotiated needs. This particular video is about audacity. Now, for people who are just kind of starting out in their careers or who are pretty early in their careers, I wouldn't say go in asking for the fee that you want plus some seasoning. Don't do that. You actually need to get there first. But I do want to talk about something that a lot of people don't talk about. There's this school of thought that I actually don't agree with. And it's the whole, just do it for exposure or just do it for the experience. Just get experience. There is value in gaining experience. However, what a lot of people don't talk about is how when you stay in a particular place to get experience or to just get exposure, when you do that for a long period of time, after a while, it starts to take from you. I've done it, I've been there, and this is why I'm sharing this. I don't think it's a good idea to stay somewhere just for experience or for the opportunity you might get indefinitely. Doing something for free or for a little bit of money or in the hope that something comes of it, don't agree with it. The only way I think it works is if you put a timeline in place. So I am going to work at this place for a good amount of time that you decide on beforehand, whether that's 6 months, a year, whatever the time frame is that makes sense to you. Decide, and then you know, okay, in that time, I am going to put my all in. I'm going to network while I'm there. I'm going to do my job to the best of my ability. If there are people there that I don't like, that I don't get on with, that are making my life pretty miserable, I know that I'm leaving in 6 months. So this is just about putting up with them for 6 months or however long you've decided. Put a timeline on it. If you're doing performances for exposure, okay, but how long are you going to do that for? Put a timeline on it. Otherwise, you do start to lose your love and your enthusiasm for what it is that you're working towards. Or you can kind of lose sight of your goals and end up doing something else. I don't know if anyone else has ever worked in an office or any environment just for the money, just for a while, and ended up staying there a lot longer than you planned to because you lose sight of why you went in the first place. I also think that if you stay somewhere that you don't like, that you're miserable, just for the opportunity that you might get, I think even if the opportunity comes along, you'll miss it. You'll miss it because whoever can recommend you for that opportunity, they probably won't recommend you if you're miserable. If you're like the miserable intern or the miserable person who's here, they're not going to put you forward. And just kind of the way life works, maybe that's the day you phone in sick. I just think that you'll miss the opportunity if you're not in the right mind frame, if you're not positive about being there. And I think you won't be positive about being there if you're there for way too long. Put a timeline on it and then bounce. Follow me across all the socials. I am at VivMayOfficial. Give me a tweet, give me an Instagram DM, comment. I'm around.